Hi everyone, my name is Neil Thompson and today I'm going to talk to you about sustainable travel. Over 6.5 million cars passed over the Humber Bridge last year. This is increasing each year. Imagine if these journeys had no carbon emissions and no fuel costs. That's not only fantastic for the environment, but would save fuel and therefore money for people and also businesses. The original idea I had when applying for the pole-to-pole competition was to ask people with car allowances to use that car allowance to buy a hybrid or electric vehicle as opposed to petrol or diesel. A good idea in principle, but in reality it's not that simple, and here's why. For high mileage and motorway driving, which people with car allowances do, fully electric vehicles are not suitable. Even a hybrid wouldn't return much better miles per gallon than that of a relatively new and efficient diesel engine. I came to the conclusion that I needed to change my idea and that my target audience of people with car allowances wasn't the only group I should focus on. However, there was still an opportunity to be gained from this exercise based on that type of research that I'd done. So that brought me onto my new idea, which is looking at vehicle suitability and how we can make CO2 and money savings just by picking the most appropriate vehicle for our journey. Firstly, I set up a survey around how much information the general population has around the amount of knowledge of the different types of vehicle available today. The first graph shows the existing level of knowledge of the general population, the majority making up non or basic levels. In addition to the shown results, there was a fifth option of excellent knowledge which none of the 124 respondents picked. The results suggest that 2/3 of the population need more knowledge to make an informed choice in the purchase of their next vehicle. The next question in the survey asked if people would consider buying a hybrid or electric vehicle as their next car. The survey results suggest that 2/3 of people do care and are either willing to make a change to their lives now, or based on being able to make a more informed choice, will be potentially willing in the future. The third question asked if people were willing to buy a fully electric car if the site offered free charging capabilities. This is the case on several of our sites right now. A really interesting and positive statistic is that 1/3 of the respondents said yes, whilst the large majority were undecided through lack of current knowledge. After the survey, based on comments received, I held awareness sessions to inform people of the different types of vehicles and their suitability and field any questions. To supplement this, I created the model you can see which demonstrates the suitability of various types of vehicles based on the mileage and size requirements. The model shows size of vehicle versus mileage and the most economical type of vehicle for that type of journey, and also some quick points around the pros and cons of each type of vehicle. I've spoken to stakeholders in various areas of the business to network this idea, from HR who allocate car allowances to energy services who own the current fleet of electric cars. The next step in my project was to create a car allowance calculator. The model you're looking at takes into account the tax bracket of the vehicle and applies a percentage to that base car allowance, so that if the car is efficient and has low emissions, you're allocated more for your allowance. If it has high emissions, your allowance will be reduced. It also shows how much carbon this will save in real terms, which means something to the reader. There are 5,000 employees in the RWE group who are eligible for a car allowance. Even if just 50 in this group sign on to change their car, the average savings based on 10,000 business miles a year, moving from petrol to hybrid for example, would save £55,000 a year in fuel costs, £9,000 in tax, and 56 metric tonnes of CO2, which is the equivalent of 5 homes in a year. In summary, all current technologies have their pros and cons, therefore it's essential the information gets communicated so that people can make their most informed choice. Electric cars are good in principle, but are impractical and expensive. Hybrid and plug-in hybrid are good for a mixture of different types of driving, such as long and short distance. Petrol and diesel still return good miles per gallon and are the cheapest and have by far the most choice. I believe these practices can be implemented in the wider RWE business to result in cost, fuel and CO2 savings across the board. I'm Neil Thompson and this is Sustainable Travel.